Now I have found so much more joy and peace and contentment in being a homemaker and a cleaner than when I was trying to get a PhD. Hello my dears, and welcome to My Dear Old World. I'm sharing how I see the beauty in my simple life with my husband, cat, and our little house at the bottom of the world. Today I wanted to share a bit of my story and how I became a homemaker in the first place, and actually how burning out led to me experiencing so much more joy and contentment and peace. So to begin, let's go back in time to 2021. I had just finished a summer research project at the university. I was about to enter my honours year studying biomedical sciences. I hoped that one day I could become an academic lecturing at the university. If I was successful in my honours, I could go on to do a PhD. But everything changed when I felt the Lord say to me to hold off on doing a PhD until later in life. This took me by great surprise because I found a lot of solace in knowing what I was going to do with my life. I decided to still do honours because I felt that it was a really good opportunity and I didn't want to waste that. Not too long after I started my honours, my now husband and I got engaged. I was very excited and we decided to get married in February of the following year. But I still didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and that really loomed over me. I talked to countless people about career options. I was just bent on finding out what God wanted me to do. I felt really purposeless. My passion for honours subsided substantially. I actually grew to fear my honours supervisor and going into the lab in general. I lived just across the road from campus, which previously had been amazing, but now I ran the risk that I would run into my honours supervisor, and I was so scared that I would see him and that he would tell me off for not working and not being in the lab, even though he was really understanding and kind. The times that I did go in, I raced off to the biochemistry bathroom and sat on the floor of the cubicle after a panic attack. And slowly my life balance and taking care of my health, myself in general, were pushed to the side because all I could do was just focus on getting by. I wondered why God would let this happen to me. I had been surrounded by many friends and family members who had struggled with mental health over the course of their life, but I had never personally experienced it. I didn't know what was happening and it felt so alien and uncontrollable. I really just wanted to snap out of it, and I asked myself, why now? Why, when I had a loving fiance, supportive friends, I was in honours finally, but I just felt so lost and insecure and hopeless. Slowly, after much prayer, it dawned on me that I had really built my life on shaky ground and that my confidence was really in my knowing what I was doing with my life. And the not knowing left me feeling so exposed and so vulnerable. I realised that my self-confidence had been rooted in my personal success and praise that I got from others. It was very humbling to admit that my life was not built on God. During this season of burnout, I was reading through the book of Jeremiah and how the Lord was mourning over how the Israelites had turned and worshipped false idols. They were valuing the things of the world over the Lord. God used the prophet Jeremiah to warn the Israelites, calling them to repent and turn back to Him. However, they continued to reject God's message. Instead, they chose their own ways, and this ultimately led to their exile. But still, God was faithful. He had promised to bring them back. He promised to restore them and redeem them in the future. And Jeremiah 32:38-41 says, "They will be my people. I will be their God. I will give them a singleness of heart and action so that they will always fear me, and that all will go well for them and for their children after them. I will make an everlasting covenant with them. I will never stop doing good to them, and I will inspire them to fear me, so that they will never turn away from me. I will rejoice in them doing good, and I will assuredly plant them in this land with all my heart and soul." That's what was happening. The Lord was creating in me a singleness of heart. I saw this picture of an open field, a house that had been added onto over the years, and it was falling down and dilapidated, and the roof was sagging, and yet the land was fertile, but the house was the problem. I felt God say to me, "Your life is the fertile, good soil, but look at what your hands have created. You've tried to slap together this house over the years, to keep it standing, to put your confidence in, to have a roof to sleep under. And yet I knew that God didn't want this for me. But just like the Israelites in Jeremiah, this old, dilapidated house needed to be torn down before a new one could be built. A new house whose confidence was in the Lord and the Lord alone. I didn't need to be afraid of the destruction of that old house, but I could look forward in anticipation of the new house that He would build, that He would establish. And so, with this newfound understanding, I laboured with the Lord, and I handed in my honest thesis, and I finished planning the wedding, and by the grace of God I received first-class honours. And I don't say that to boast, but I say that to give glory to Him, because I know that I did not achieve that on my own. And yeah, I just feel very blessed with what God's given me. And so our wedding day came, and it was beautiful, and Will and I were married. Will and I decided that I would spend a year at home to recover from such a big year. We began our little life together, and he was doing a PhD and I was at home, and that was new. I had always been the one that, was a go-getter. For me to be at home and shift that dynamic was really good. I have a lot of respect for Will now that I really didn't have before. This was exciting, and there was so many opportunities, and I was finally free from responsibility. I was still burnt out, and I still had a lot of fear. The process of wedding planning was quite stressful, and our friends and family really came around us to make it happen. And I knew that I would never be able to repay them, and that was very uncomfortable for me. I still had a lot of pride. I wanted to be able to earn people's respect and prove that I was amazing and look at me kind of deal. But the Lord really used my time at home to strip me of that. And after about 2 months after we had got married, I had recovered from my physical burnout, and that was amazing. But It still took me a really long time to stop thinking that I was burnt out and actually give myself permission to reintegrate myself back into society and to meet with friends and to go on walks and to enjoy my life. I was still felt enslaved by burnout, but I was recovered. It took me a long time to wean myself off that mentality after a lot of conviction from God. And slowly, as I realised I had a capacity for more, I started to pursue a lot of these homemaking skills of cooking and baking and sewing and knitting and learning how to clean. And it was really exciting, this phase of learning. Being in the university environment for a long time, I didn't really have a chance to learn these simple skills from the ground up and become comfortable with being a novice at things and learning that imperfection is okay, and giving myself permission to fail and to learn from that. And so after a while, I realised that I did have a capacity for more, and so I got a job cleaning apartments in the city part-time. Yeah, this job taught me a lot of things. It wasn't very glamorous, but it definitely taught me that it's not the type of career you have or how high up in the world you are that defines whether or not you are good at your job. And it taught me to, regardless of where I was, if I was cleaning toilets and making beds, or I was at home, to be a person of excellence and self-discipline, even if no one was watching. It was in this job that I learnt how to make peace with work and to not resent it. After that, I found that I could have a lot more peace and enjoyment in life because I wasn't trying to change my circumstances or waiting until the perfect moment. I could just, make peace with me being a cleaner, working 2 days a week in our little home. So as I grew in this role, I began to realise that the Lord was using this to instill character traits that were admirable to Him, learning how to be humble and honest and hard-working and kind and gracious. All these things that He wanted to grow in me, and it was in this that I realised that this was the new house that He was building on my fertile land. This is the house that would be used to glorify Him and to point towards Him, not to myself. And after learning to let go of controlling other people and controlling my circumstances, I learned to be content in my lot and to glorify God in my lot. And to see all the wonderful things that He'd blessed me with, a wonderful husband and our kitty cat and this beautiful home that I get to take care of. Now I have found so much more joy and peace and contentment in being a homemaker and a cleaner than before when I was trying to get a PhD. And I might still do a PhD someday, but it'll be from the lens of the Lord wanting me to do it, not wanting to do it because it will get me man's praise. And I'm so grateful for the journey that God's put me on, even though in the darkest hour I could not see how it was ever going to get any better, and I had no hope. I was crushed. Compared to now, my life is very simple, but it is very rich, and I'm really grateful. So that's a little bit about my story. I hope it blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. If you're in that burnout season right now, my thoughts and prayers are with you. And I just want to encourage you that it probably feels really dark and hopeless right now. And I've been there and I know what that feels like, and I'm sorry that you're feeling this way. I'm sorry that this is the situation you're in, but know that God is with you. Whether you have faith in Him or not, He knows exactly where you are and what you're burdened with. And He is a loving and kind and compassionate God, and He rescues you and restores you and gives you a hope and a future. So with that, I hope that you can be blessed. I will see you next time. Have a lovely, lovely day.